This is Center Stage, putting your firm in the spotlight by highlighting business owners and other industry experts to help take your firm to the next level. Hey everyone, and welcome to Center Stage. I'm your host, John Henson, and this week we are talking about the right way to grow your firm. And so I know kind of obviously on the surface, that sounds like a very subjective and highly opinionated way to go about doing things. But our guest this week has really done a good job of this. I think he has grown his firm the right way. And I wanted him to come and tell us all about it. And that is attorney Jeremy Danilson. Jeremy, thank you so much for taking some time with us this week.
Thank you, John. I appreciate the invitation. Like John said, my name is Jeremy Danilson. I am a real estate attorney in a suburb of Des Moines, Iowa. And I actually practice and run a firm with my wife, Sarah. So we're a husband and wife team, and we have doubled the size of our firm in the last couple of years. There's 4 of us now, so we're still very small, but opened the doors in 2015 when it was just me, and steady improvement since then, and have hashed out and developed what I want the firm to be over those last 6 or 7 years, and have a pretty clear idea now.
Awesome. So, and I know you've gone around and talked about this before, so I know that you've, whether it's in your own personal experience or you've kind of seen this happen, with other lawyers out there and other law firms out there, but what are some of the mistakes either that you've learned that you made along the way, or some of the other mistakes that you've seen other law firms make that have kind of slowed or hampered their growth in any way?
That list could be long, but what comes to mind immediately, talking from my own personal experiences, when I first opened the doors to our firm, we were extraordinarily dependent, relied upon one referral source. At the beginning, they were 100% of all of our business. It slowly went down to 85 to 90%. And then, in January of 2019, I probably learned the hardest business lesson I've ever learned when they chose to go to a bigger firm in Des Moines through no fault of our own. And all of that business disappeared in about 30 days. Sarah and I had a big decision to make, but we have since diversified, but that was a really hard lesson to learn in real time as a business owner.
Yeah. And so, and one of the things, because I know, Sarah, your wife, one of the big sort of warnings that a lot of business owners out there say is like, don't mix business with family. So how have you actually navigated running a business with your wife?
So in 2015, I did start the firm on my own. It was just me. And I didn't realize it at the time, but I had created a job for myself. I don't know that I really felt like a business owner. We had enough business. I had a paycheck, feeding the family. But then all of a sudden, I after about 2 years, I probably had hit my capacity, and I was working until midnight most nights. And we've got 2 small boys now. I'd have to do the math. I think one was probably present at the time. And Sarah got sick of me working till midnight and wanted to help. And she just started taking things off my plate. Didn't really ask if she could help. She just started doing it. And over time, it turned into a full-time job for her. And we started paying her, and she became to what she is now. She's a critical member of the team. She's our transaction coordinator, operations manager. She runs the show for me now. It's really because she took the initiative to try to improve my quality of life so I could be present in our children's activities and lives.
Yeah. And I think I heard you talk about this somewhere else, but I think you mentioned about how, you, even though you are working with your wife on a daily basis, you have a really good way of keeping things separated in terms of work doesn't follow you home, as much as you can help it. Right. And so, is there some sort of, kind of regimented system that you kind of developed, or did this just sort of happen naturally?
So constant improvement is the key. We are learning from each other and learning how to do this better and better every day, every month, every year. Where we were to where we've gotten, we now have on the calendar a weekly leadership meeting, which is a meeting for Sarah and I, for her to sit down and corral me for any questions she may need me to look at. Not usually client matters, more issues with the business. And we have done much better at keeping those meetings and using those to be productive, which that weekly dedicated time now minimizes, does not eliminate, because we're not perfect, questions in the evenings or at 6:30 in the morning when the alarm goes off, or in cars when we're driving kids to activities. Those still happen, and I think that's probably impossible to eliminate 100%. But when things pop up, we talk, but we try to keep that dedicated time for the business activities, so she can expect me to be ready and have my full attention on things, and I can help her move projects forward that she needs my help with.
Yeah. And I mean, I think even if you're not married, having that structured time where you're, dedicating that headspace to solving some of those problems. I mean, we've talked about, I'm not sure if you're familiar with EOS, but we've talked about, the EOS system on the show before, and just how that structure and those specific meeting times to accomplish, to tackle those specific issues is just a really good way to keep things under control and to keep things moving forward.
Yeah, I think another thing we do, we have a CRM in place, different than a law practice management software, but every single client, every single business project has its space to where we communicate.
Yeah.
So rather than too frequently having off the wall or offhand conversations about something, hey, Jeremy, did you do this yet? All of our communication, for the most part, about a specific matter or specific project goes through the CRM, and we can tag the project, the team member in there and ask the question, because I'll be really honest, if it's in my head, it's not getting done. It's got to be in our system so that I can ask for help. And that's something I've had to learn a lot over the last year and a half, is how to better ask for help from my team. But we have that tool in place that's the hub for all of our communication on all projects, all client matters. Because at 6:30 at night, if she asks me to do something on a real estate transaction, I'm going to forget because my kid is about to probably yell at me or need to get ready for bed or something. And that's right. Just not having too many things swimming in my head is a recipe for stress, anxiety, and failure, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, exactly. So kind of shifting away from, meetings and structure and stuff like that. I think one of the biggest things, and we believe this here, but also I've seen this in action across a lot of law firms, is the importance of just tracking metrics, various metrics, analytics along the way. I know that's a big deal for you. What are some of the most important metrics, in your opinion, that lawyers, business owners need to be tracking, in order to continue that growth?
Well, I think there's a couple of big buckets that come to mind. First, we've got KPIs for the overall growth and progress of where the firm is and where we want to get to. Some obvious ones, revenue's an obvious one, number of clients, client calls, those kind of things. And we're developing and improving our KPIs. We're actually in the process of that. I just made a big decision for me that helped my stress level in outsourcing our bookkeeping to our CPA. Up until about 3 weeks ago, so 6-7 years of running the firm, I have attempted to do that myself, and finally just asked myself the question, yes, this bookkeeping is something I can do, but should I be doing it? Mm-hmm. And I've been getting, and that's part of learning how to ask for help, is figuring out what things do I need to be focusing on and what things can somebody else do better. So that's taken a huge burden off my shoulders. And by doing that, that's going to give me more real-time information to funnel into our KPI, so I can have better information to make decisions from. The other bucket I look at for our transactional firm is the speed and efficiency in which we can serve our clients. We really try hard. I say 90% of our fees are all flat fees. I don't want to charge hourly if I don't have to for anything. And I want to get rid of that 10% where we do charge hourly still as quickly as possible. But something we do is we promise 24-hour turnaround on abstract review for title commitments, and we track from the moment our CRM tracks when the abstract arrives, and then we move it through 4 stages while it's in our office, moves to me to review, to Ashley, our paralegal, to type, back to me for final review, and then it gets sent out. And we can see how long abstracts are in each stage, get for any time period, for a week, for a month, for a year, to see what our performance is, to see if we need to tighten up our processes anywhere. So that helps us deliver on our client promises, and we hold ourselves accountable to the promises that we make. Yeah.
So I know us on our end, our CRM or our practice management equivalent software, they have the capability of having these dashboards where we can integrate various analytic sources and we can track our KPIs and have that visual right in front of us on our home screen every day. I know you kind of mentioned that you use your practice management software to track a lot of things. How, what have you done to help people track their KPIs? And, I guess, in other words, like, do you have some sort of integration? What do you use to keep it top of mind for people so that they know what their numbers are?
Our CRM is Streak CRM. It integrates with Gmail, and we can produce various reports from it that, at a minimum, every time we have a team meeting, which we have consistently scheduled team meetings, we look over these KPIs and these reports to see how each part of our business, each type of legal matter that we help with, is being served. And we talk through that as part of the consistent contacts we have with our team. Our firm is a hybrid remote firm. So yes, all four of us work and live where we want to. I do have an office in Johnston, Iowa. I'm the one who takes the in-person meetings there. So I'm not 100% remote, but I only take scheduled meetings there. So our meetings are Zoom meetings together as a team, because my team is living across the entire state of Iowa. One person's 3 hours away. And the cool thing about that is she moved earlier this year as already a part of our team at Danilson Law. And she made that move to her hometown because she knew she could, and she had the support of Danilson Law and our team to make that possible. So a big goal of our firm, and I think I'm getting sidetracked, but is to serve as a platform for our team members to be successful in their lives, to serve them in whatever they want to accomplish. And that team member wanted to move back home, and we already had the technology and processes in place where it was seamless. I didn't, to be honest, I couldn't tell you the weekend she moved, because Friday ended and Monday started and nothing felt different to me.
Yeah. Oh, no. And that's a really good point, because I think, you're not that much significantly older than I am. So like our generation, Gen Z and people coming up, I think that's kind of what they want more of in their job. There's this cultural shift where, the last few decades, people kind of served their job. Their job was their identity. And now we're kind of seeing a shift where it's like, all right, what benefits, tangible or not, can a job help and make people's lives better for those that are working for them? And so, I think that's great. And being that, virtual firm, giving people that freedom, I think breeds a lot of loyalty, but it also breeds a lot more productivity, because people are just naturally happier and they're more motivated to work.
No, I would agree with that. When we started growing the firm and adding past me and Sarah, adding team members, I had the opportunity where I didn't have to ask permission to go to a doctor's appointment or to go pick up my kid from school at 3:00. And I wanted to offer that same opportunity to my team members. So the firm isn't built just for me, it's built for all of us. And after I get off this conversation with you, I've got conferences for my boys at 3:30 and 4:15, and I'm going to be there with my wife, and we both get to be present at as many things as we possibly can. And that's the life I want. We're designing the firm to support the life I want instead of building my life around my job. And I'm so fortunate, so lucky to be able to do that and help provide that opportunity to our team members.
Yeah. So before we jump into the hiring, I do want to go back 1 second, because, the last sort of segment I want to talk to you about is what you've learned in the hiring process. But to go back real quick, one of the kind of pushbacks that I hear a lot from other attorneys, especially who have not yet really adopted a lot of like workflows or automations, or just even some of the things that you have set up with like KPIs and your practice management system and all that, is they're worried about the time commitment that it takes to just initially set all of that up, especially because you're diving into a technological world that you're not really familiar with and all that. So what was your experience in kind of setting up a lot of stuff, integrating your practice management system? Did you take like a full weekend to get it all set up, or was it just kind of built little by little over time? Did you do it on your own? Did you have help? What was your experience like?
I think my overall theme is constant and continuous improvement. So where we were 5 or 6 years ago, yes, I use the same tool, Streak CRM, but how it looks today versus how it looked 5 years ago, the layout is different, the fields are different. We continue to, and the stages that we move things through have been, are iterative and improve as we recognize they need to be changed. So it was not a weekend project. It's been 5 or 6 years of just constant improvement and tweaking. The automation we do have automation in place. I love Zapier. It allows different tools that we have, whether it's Streak CRM, Google Drive, or something else, to talk behind the scenes without me, and allowing me to eliminate duplicate or triplicate data entry. I rely upon that. And once those Zaps are built, I built them several years ago. They work continuously for the most part, unless a major piece of the software has changed, but they haven't broken on me very often. And that just, like, one super small example is we'll create when we have a new client in the sales deal pipeline, we will send the engagement letter out after I have a phone call with them, or they talk to our intake specialist. And then when they sign the engagement letter, we move it to the hired stage. That triggers a Zap that sends them immediately our client welcome packet. And the welcome packet is a PDF for now. I have visions of it becoming a video component, but it describes the type of firm we are, how we work, what expectations are from us and from the client, because it's a mutual relationship, and how to schedule a phone call, schedule a meeting, drop off documents to us based upon our hybrid, virtual, whatever we want to call it, type firm, so that they know from the moment they sign the engagement letter, here's how to be successful. And here's what we expect of you, client. Here's what we're going to promise for you. And we've been sending that welcome packet out for probably 3 years now. It's pretty direct in that I'm not sitting in the office waiting for someone to just arrive unannounced, but it, in a really kind way, tells people how to schedule those appointments. I haven't had one complaint. Nobody's ever seen that called and said, this doesn't work for me, I want to go somewhere else. It sets the representation up to be successful, so we know how to communicate together. And it's been, but Zapier has enabled that to happen, so I don't have to remember to send that out or have somebody else remember to manually send that out. And we've got dozens of Zaps that just do those repeat tasks for us.
Awesome. Yeah. So, and I appreciate you kind of going with me down these little side paths, because I know this isn't entirely what we prepped for in the beginning, but as you talk, and I'm just thinking of more and more ways that you've done things, and just how I've had some other conversation with lawyers and their hesitancies on that. And so it's good to get that insight. So just kind of a recap, you have systems in place and blocks of time basically to address things as you go along. You're not scattered and all over the place and all that. You have it really regimented. You have your KPIs that you're tracking. You have your automations workflow set up. You're utilizing your practice management system. The last thing, and you kind of touched on this a little bit, is the people that you've hired. It sounds like you've hired some really great people who do really great work for you. You've given them some freedoms, the same freedoms that you have wanted being a business owner. So what have you learned personally along the way in your hiring process that has attributed to how your firm has grown?
I want to answer that question. I want to go back on automations just for half a minute here real quick.
Absolutely.
The automations to our firm they still start from an imaginative question conversation we have with the teams. Like, what are you doing repetitively that takes up a lot of time? So can we fix this? Does it save us time or save us money so we can be more efficient?
Yeah.
We don't charge hourly. Why do I want somebody doing this repetitive task that a computer can do when I'm charging flat fees? If I can automate these things, still create the client experience that seems really personable, and allows the clients to feel like they are our only client, why do I want my team wasting time doing things that are mundane tasks when I can leverage them and use them better at their highest value, and have them doing things that they actually enjoy, whether it's client interaction, whether it's more substantive work? I think avoiding or being scared of automation, you're missing a massive opportunity. Our profit margins are better with flat fees probably than they would be hourly because of the automations we built and leverage.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool.
So now, sorry that I avoided that question. I had that little delay.
No, it's great.
Hiring, the best thing I did when we looked to hire our first team member beyond Sarah and myself was to really make myself think and consider what our firm's core values are. What do I want the firm to be? Who are we? What motivates me? What drives me and Sarah on a daily basis? And we've settled on 3 core values, and I put those in the job posting. I led with those in the interview, and we used them to select through the candidates based upon the videos that we required candidates to send us 1-minute videos describing why they thought they'd be a fit for Danilson Law. But the core values have been at the forefront of every hiring decision we've made. And I feel like we've made 2 fantastic hiring decisions because we led with core values first. Then you get down to experience and what they're trying and what they want to accomplish with their lives and how they can contribute to the actual tasks at the law firm. But it was core values first, and core values to let people get through the hiring process, core values to eliminate and weed out candidates that we didn't think would be a good fit. So 2 really successful hires, and we actually we were looking to hire the next attorney last summer, and because of core values and a bigger lesson that I've learned since, and I'll get into that, but we didn't hire an attorney because it wasn't the right fit for our team. So it might sound repetitive, but core values have been critical to the success of finding the people that are a good fit to work with Sarah and myself.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I mean, we developed our core values, probably 2016, 2017. We started with 5. We actually just recently changed our core values because, our owner, and you might be able to relate to this a little bit, the first set of core values was really more just kind of what he wanted the company to embody. And the more he kind of, learned and educated himself and all that, it morphed into its core values that I emanate, that I then want my company to emanate, part of as well. And so if I'm at the risk of putting you on the spot real quick, and being able to fire them off real quickly, what are the core values that you had and hold your team accountable to?
I think they would mirror what you just described as your CEO's second set of core values. They really, what they are, first is always be humble and kind. That applies to how we interact with each other, how we interact in our personal lives, and most importantly, how we interact with clients. Second, be intentional with everything you do. I think that's relatively self-explanatory. And then the last one is a little bit long-winded, but it's a lesson I learned from my parents. Always tell the truth, and you never have to remember what you told someone. I'm not smart enough to tell you one thing, John, and tell Sarah something else. If I tell everybody the truth, yes, sometimes it might be a difficult conversation, but I always know what I told you, and you always know where we stand. So I ask my team to do the same thing, even if that leads to some challenging or difficult conversations sometimes, but that expectation is mutual. It's not one-sided. So those are what I lead hiring decisions with, one-on-one reviews with our team members. It's how I try to lead my life. And so far, so good.
Yeah, I agree. And so, if your firm doesn't have core values, I think it's definitely something that you should absolutely do. Rally the team around it, make sure that, that's what your team lives by. And I think one important thing that I think, is important to note with core values is that it's the term pay for play, so like your core values shouldn't be provide good customer service or anything like that. Like it shouldn't be stuff that you should just be generally expected to do as part of your job. It should be those core values that really guide how you do your job, how you approach your work and come in every day.
I would describe it as what makes you unique.
Yes.
As a business, what's your unique business model or service model? How do you want your clients to feel, or how are you going to get to successfully represent your clients? And it's really what makes your firm unique. There's other real estate transactional law firms in Des Moines area. There are bigger real estate transactional firms than Danilson Law. What makes us unique is how we interact and treat our clients in each other, and the technology that we use to support our service model. But in my opinion, allows us to serve our clients differently than a traditional law firm.
Awesome. Well, all of this has been really great insight. You provided even more insight than I had initially prepared for. So I always enjoy when that happens. I do have one final question for you. It's one we ask all of our guests here. And that is, if you had one piece of advice for our lawyer audience out there, what would it be?
So I didn't prepare for this question, so I'm going to go off the cuff here.
Yeah.
I really think it's what I tell any potential new hire for our team. Danilson Law, we want to serve as rocket fuel or a platform for you to be successful in life. Spend time figuring out what you want out of your life before you make a commitment to a career path. If you're at a place in your life where it doesn't feel like it's going the direction you want to, maybe you're working 90 hours a week. No, I'm not doing that. Decide what you want and figure out how to build your career around what you want out of your life so that you can be happy. You can be grateful for everything that's going on in your life. I feel like I'm probably the luckiest person in the world because I get to provide for my family. I get to go to my kids' conferences this afternoon. I just ran successfully for city council, and I get to do the things I want to do and work with people that I enjoy working with and sharing time with, and that I trust. So that would be my advice.
Awesome. Love it. Good stuff. As always, that's going to do it for us this week. Thank you for continuing to rate, review us on Apple Podcasts, interacting with the show wherever you're finding it. I know we're all over the place. Continue to send in any additional feedback or topic ideas. Happy to listen to any input that you guys have out there. And yeah, that's going to do it for us this week. Jeremy, thank you so much for taking some time and sharing all your insight.
Thanks, John. I had a good time.
Thanks for listening. To learn more, go to spotlightbranding.com/centerstage.